My apologies for the delay and thank you for your patience. The meeting is now live. You're welcome to proceed, Mr. Chair.
Thanks a bunch, Sarah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is a meeting of the Property Standards Committee, and it's being called to consider appeals of orders to comply issued by the City of Kitchener's enforcement staff pursuant to Chapter 665 of the City of Kitchener Municipal Code, the Building Code Act, and the Statutory Powers Procedures Act. My name is Brian Santos. I'll be the chair for the meeting today. And with me is Charlene Mullman and Mike Pulley. Also with us is Sarah Goldrup, who's the committee administrator. Yeah, this hearing is a formal process where those giving evidence will be required to make an affirmation as to the validity of their testimony. However, the committee tries to conduct the hearing in a very relaxed fashion. Before we get started, just want to highlight what the committee is able to do. We have the authority of one of four options. The first is to confirm, uphold the order as it currently stands. Second is we can rescind the order. Three, we can modify the order. Maybe some items have been completed while others remain outstanding. Or the fourth option is we can grant an extension of time to comply with the order. So that being said, we've got three items on the agenda today. The first being appeal number 2021-16 relating to property 393 Wellington Street North.
I'm sorry to interrupt through the chair. I believe that those might be the notes from the previous meeting.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, I just sent you the email for the current meeting just a few minutes ago. I apologize for that.
I'm sorry if I put the wrong one. Living in the past. So appeal number 2021-17 we'll be hearing first, related to property, the address is 175 Hoffman Street, unit number 3.
Thank you, Brian.
So if you can introduce the matter, that'd be wonderful.
Sorry, you cut out there.
Sorry, if I'll just let you introduce the matter, please.
Great, thank you. My name is Steve Rensos. I'm with the City of Kitchener Bylaw Enforcement Office. I'm a manager with Bylaw Enforcement, and I'm filling in for this committee on behalf of Gloria McNeil, who is out of the office at the moment. So we'll go ahead and start with appeal number again, 2021-17 for 175 Hoffman Street, unit number 3. There was an order registered against that unit dated September 17th, 2021 for issues within the unit regarding issues with the walls evident of leaks or prior leaks and interior surfaces and finishes and mold. I have had an opportunity to speak with the appellant and they advise that they are aware of the issues within the unit. Not only for this one, but also for the other one, that it is going through an insurance process. And they're also having difficulties with the occupants in the unit actually moving the stuff out of the way in order for them to complete the work that is required. And also getting contractors in there. Again, our understanding is that they've had 3 contractors in there to quote it, and none of the 3 are prepared to do the work with the way that the units currently are. So they are asking for an extension in time to try to resolve one, the issue with the insurance company, and 2, the issues with getting the cooperation of the tenants to remove some of the items in there. And we are in agreement for an extension in time. The other thing that was mentioned is that there is an intermittent leak. They have had a roof company come in, and it is not coming from the roof. And it happens so sporadically, they don't know where it's coming from. They've also had a company come in to look at the foundation regarding another unit and another leak, and they were not able to determine that that was coming from the foundation either. So there are some issues that they are trying to resolve, but again, being COVID and dealing with an insurance company and trying to get contractors lined up, it's just delayed their process.
Thank you. So the city's in agreement with the extension then? No, Steve?
Yeah, we're in agreement to extension in time to resolve these issues. Again, knowing that what the issues are. They had, when we spoke earlier on, they had advised an extension of 3 to 4 months in order to complete the work. And seeing the pictures, I was in agreement to that, as long as they start that work and start completing some of the work that may not be affected because of the leak.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Danielle, do you need to, if we have any witnesses here pertaining to this file?
Yes, we have, and I can also swear in Officer Dennis Cockwell
Perfect.
to give his testimony. Officer, could you please turn on your camera? Officer Cockwell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's my first meeting of this, so finding my camera to turn it on.
Yes, please.
Zoom, unable to detect a camera on my camera, so I'm not being detected for it.
So it would appear that Dennis is having a technical issue with his camera. Would it be an issue if we continued without it on?
I don't have an issue with that.
We have to provide an oath, so I would request that he raises his right hand, and that's the reason why we have to turn on the camera, if it's possible.
Through the chair, if I may. Officer, you are able to complete your oath, but we do need to verbally hear you swear to your oath. So if you wouldn't mind raising your right hand and swearing or affirming as follows, that the testimony you are about to provide to the committee is true and correct.
I swear the testimony, the information I'm going to give is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I received a complaint for Unit 3 on September 8th, 21. I made contact with the complainant. I did my inspection September 8th at 1:51 in the afternoon. I confirmed the violations at that time. I took photos of that, of the violations, and then I had to get a title search done. And then I issued the order on September the 17th for Unit 3.
Thank you, Dennis. When was that order due to expire?
I issued on the 17th, so I believe it was October 17th. Right.
All right. Thank you, Officer Dennis. Any questions for Officer Dennis? Mike?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Dennis, when you were there and made observations, I haven't seen pictures. You said you took pictures. I'm not sure if they were provided. Can you just paint me a picture of how bad the damage was?
In the bathroom, there's tiles that are missing off the wall in the bathroom. The ceiling has damage as well. There's a hole in the ceiling in the bathroom well. Visible cracks in the kitchen area in the ceiling and as well in the bathroom. So that's where the main areas were there for that. So it was the ceiling repair, replace, repaint, I mean. The bathroom tiles should be repaired, replaced. And damage for the mold as well that's visible in the bathroom from the holes or the water leak that they're unable to find.
Okay, so my second follow-up question to that is, and I know you're not necessarily an expert to say that, but is it reasonably habitable right now for the current people living in the unit?
The bathroom it's a mess with the hole in there. It doesn't look good, in my opinion.
Sorry, Dennis.
Sorry.
I believe that we do have pictures, if the chair can confirm.
Through the chair,
Or-
I will display the pictures now. Just one moment, please.
Thank you.
Officer Dennis, I have a question. Do you believe through the information you gather that the house is safe for the inhabitants to continue living in until we're able to get it renovated?
Well, they've been living under these conditions for a while now. I don't know how long, but once I've been there, they've still been in there since I did my initial inspection. I have received complaints about other things, but we were waiting for this appeal hearing to see what the outcome of it was. I really do believe that the mold should be addressed sooner than later. And like I said, they've been living in these conditions like this for I don't know how long, but the mold in the bathroom should be dealt with.
Yeah, the mold
That
is
would be
my
my
concern
biggest-
too.
That's my biggest concern at this time. The drywall and the plaster, that's not there, but I think the mold should be looked at by a professional.
Thank you. That's my biggest concern as well.
Yes.
So if we can scan through the pictures, and Dennis, if you wouldn't mind commenting the rooms, just so we can get a better understanding of where they are and what they are, that'd be great.
I think the photo she just brought up is for, yes, that's unit 1. Okay. So as you see the floor spots, the green stains on the floor looks like mold to me. And there's more when you go through it. There's bigger spots of it.
Sorry, I think we need to be dealing with unit number 3 at this time, as opposed to unit number 1.
That's unit 1.
Do we have photos of unit number 3?
Through the chair, yes, just one moment, please. My apologies.
Of course. Thanks, Sarah.
That's a crack in the ceiling in the kitchen. In the kitchen as well. That's the bathroom. That's the hole. And the mold and the crack in the tiles. That's in the bathroom, but that's a bad photo. And that's the tiles that are missing off the wall, just through the entrance door into the bathroom. And the ceiling in the bathroom as well.
Thanks,
I think
Officer.
that's,
Those are the photos we have, right?
yes, for that unit.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any further questions for Officer Dennis? No. Excellent. So can we affirm the appellant, please, and get their testimony?
Yes. Good afternoon, Ms. Torriello. Could you please raise your right hand? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide the committee is true and correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you. I'll leave the floor to you. Miss Anita?
Sorry. As my discussion with Steve, we are aware of the issues in the unit. We did, as mentioned, this is an insurance claim. When the tenant contacted us that there was water coming from her ceiling, we immediately contacted our insurer to advise them, and we've been working with them since. Unfortunately, COVID's presented us several obstacles with regards to dealing with the claim in comparison to previous claims prior to COVID. So right now they wanted us to do an investigation before they even appointed an adjuster. So we've been doing that, and that's why the contractors were called. That's why we inspected the roof and such. We haven't, this is due to a leak that we aren't able to identify, but basically we have no issues. We are aware that there are cracks, that there is, we are aware of the photos. We are aware of what's going on there. It's just a matter of getting this taken care of. Another obstacle is that we haven't had the opportunity. We can't get in there. We've sent a notice on the 7th to advise them to have to clean everything out, because as you can see from those photos, it will require an extensive and an invasive investigation, and we will probably have to take down the ceilings. So we've told them they need to clear everything out. That has not been done. We were there as recent as November 6th, and still things have not been moved. So, you know, that's one of the challenges we have. But again, we're just looking for, right now, we're looking for extra time. It doesn't, as my conversation with Steve, if we can get this moved to about 3-4 months, we should have this matter dealt with.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Are the inhabitants planning on remaining in the building during the renovation? Especially and particularly, my concern is during the mold removal.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to speak to that? Because I'm actually the site super on site to go and check out what's going on. And I don't know if you can see from the pictures.
I'm not sure if we have to affirm you first. Sorry, just as a point of order, my apologies. Danielle, do we need to affirm the site super, please?
Yes. What's your full name? Sorry.
It's Tom Torriello.
Tom Torriello. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide the committee is true and correct?
I do.
Thank you.
So as you can see from the photos, thank you very much. The units need to be at least the ceiling parts over where the hole was, and maybe not necessarily where the cracks are. The cracks could possibly just be cleaned out and repaired. There was never any water coming through those cracks, so I don't think that should be any issue. But the issue that we seem to be having is the one in the washroom. And as we spoke with Steve prior, we did some of our own investigation with regards to trying to find where the water was coming from, so that we just don't repair it and then have a bigger issue afterwards, because then that water could cause mold behind the drywall where nobody would be able to see it. So the biggest issue that we're having is that basically just getting them to clear out the area so that we can have somebody go in there and cut out that part of the ceiling. Like I said before, we had somebody go upstairs and flush toilets and fill bathtubs and run sinks, and we weren't able to verify any leak coming from anywhere. So the other alternative was the fact that maybe somebody was spilling water from the upstairs, because as of now, it's still an intermittent leak and it's not something that's coming from any of the plumbing fixtures. So with that being said, I mean, no one's going to tell you that, hey, listen, I spilled the water in the tub and that's what happened. I don't have a problem with that. I know it happens. The building is wood construction. There's really not much you can do about it. So like I said to Steve, we're going to go in there. We'll cut out the ceiling. We'll repair it. It's unfortunate, but we won't be able to locate the leak that's happening there. The other issue is that a lot of the repairs is a little bit of wear and tear that can be addressed. But in my concern with the mold, as Charlene was saying, was it's how do you say it? It's a surface mold. It's something that can be cleaned if it was just maintained. It's not something that's festering or anything like that. It's something that if they take some bleach and wash it, which they should be doing in their washroom, that should be taken care of. But because I guess they figure there's a ceiling roof, a ceiling leak, they're not going to do anything about it, and they expect us to come in and clean their bathrooms for them. And that's something that I'm a little bit, I understand, Charlene, your point with mold. I'm on the same page. But in this scenario, like if you see the pictures as well, and I've been in the units, it's just lack of cleanliness that it's causing some of the issues. With regards to the tile, and same thing, that has nothing to do with the leak that was happening. So.
Yeah, and just to clarify, our position wouldn't be any type of mold or mildew that you would typically find around caulking or windows or anything like that. It would be some type of surface mold that Dennis would have identified within that, where the area that's in the leak. So
absolutely, 100%.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the committee?
No, I'm good.
Mike?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sir or ma'am, Anita, question. I was reading your correspondence and you indicated that one of the tenants has removed the property or made available and one hasn't. Is there any reason why we can't deal with the one that is being cooperative?
Well, okay, as mentioned, contract.
In actual fact, the one that has removed the materials, that we can actually go in there and fix that, but that's the one that's actually possibly causing the leak to the one underneath. So that's not really where we're concerned about clearing out the area, right?
Can you help
just
me?
a matter of going there cleaning it up.
Yes, sorry. Can you help us understand? We never painted a picture of what kind of building this is. Is it like a converted home? Is it a three-level?
It's a 4-level building with a basement unit. So
Yeah.
sorry, 3 levels above ground and 1 level below ground. So you have basically 1, 3, 5, and 7 on one side, and then 2, 4, 6, 8 on the other side. So 1 and 3 are directly above each other. So sorry, 3 is directly above 1. So those are the 2 that we have the order with. And basically we need to have, the top one doesn't have, number 3 doesn't have any holes in the ceilings or anything like that. It's just, I guess, some cracks and some superficial things on the ceiling, which that could be repaired. That's not an issue. Our concern was more of, if we need to know if it's not coming from 3, because they're saying that they didn't spill anything or anything like that, should we go into 3 and cut out a hole in their ceiling to see maybe it's running down the wall and coming out in number 1? Like, it's a little bit more expensive than it's just a simple repair. And the problem is at risk of saying, I don't want to just go and put a Band-Aid over something, I'd like to find the source so that it's not going to be a repeating issue over and over again.
Yes, thank you. And I don't mean to bring the separate unit into this appeal because we'll have to have a separate hearing, but it's clear that they're both tied together. So
they're tied together.
Thank
yes.
you. You've helped me to understand that better. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think the complicated matter is just seems like the insurance company is involved as well, and that always complicates things a bit further. They would be okay with that timeline as far as getting that work done, and it's all part of their scope. Fixing unit 3 and fixing unit 1 as well. Mm-hmm. Not to tie it together, but I think they're intertwined.
Yeah.
I guess one other question. I agree, Steve, you're agreeable to an extension is what you're saying. My fear is if, like you're saying, what kind of time are we talking about? I heard 3 months, 4 months, but I haven't heard specifically.
I apologize for interrupting, but because this is a different matter, it's another appeal, we would have to swear the witnesses again.
I'm
according to procedure.
Well, thanks, Danielle. I think we're just still focused on the one in front of us, which is Unit 3, item 17. Okay. We discussed like a timeline of 3 to 4 months as an extension. I think that's what we're just focused on right now, right, Mike?
That's exactly it. Thanks, Brian. I'd like to hear what both sides think is a reasonable amount of time for us to make a decision on.
Well, like we spoke, us and Steve spoke prior to the meeting, and we came to an understanding that 3 to 4 months would be sufficient and agreeable. So I think, Steve, if you can attest to that.
Yeah, depending on the scope of work, and we're comfortable with that as long as something happens before that 4-month mark. So as long as we're committed to progressing through month 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're also
100%.
taking the holiday season into consideration coming up. That's why I'd be a little more cautious into going to that 3rd and 4th month, as opposed to saying no, this should be done in 1 to 2. And then secondly, understanding that contractors are difficult to come by right now. When we need to go in and complete work on behalf of property owners, we have a hard time lining them up as well. So I'm taking all that into consideration and giving the benefit of the doubt to the property managers / owners here in order to have that work completed. Under the good faith that they will start the work sooner rather than later and not wait to that 4-month mark.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, I think we have enough information here, unless I hear from the committee. Do you guys want to step aside and make a decision here, or do you have enough to just make a decision right now? What do you guys feel comfortable with, Charlene and Mike?
Unless Charlene feels differently or you feel differently, I'm content to decide right now in front of them.
Yeah, me too.
Seems to be more or less a joint submission, so.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
I'm comfortable with even saying 4 months right now.
Please.
As Steve mentioned, there is the holidays, and with COVID, construction workers have been quite difficult to come by, and we've heard that from multiple people. I'd be willing to go for the 4 months.
So should we just end of March?
That sounds good to me.
That takes us to 4 months. So we say March 31st.
Sounds good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So March 31st, the extension. Great. So that resolves that one. Moving right along. We have now appeal number 2021-19, 179 Hoffman Street. Now this is unit number 1. So if I can kick it to you, Steve, to introduce this matter, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. This is again regarding appeal order 2021-19 at 175 Hoffman Street, unit number 1. An order to comply was issued regarding that unit on October the 5th, 2021, regarding deficiencies verified. They're in violation of our property standards bylaw. Officer Dennis Cockwell, who's here as well, inspected the unit and subsequently issued an order to address the violations that were confirmed. And I can turn it over to Officer Cockwell if required to state what he saw, and possibly you can scan through the pictures just so we're all on the same page.
Thanks, Steve. Do we need to affirm Officer Cockwell again because this is a different matter?
Yes, we do.
All right, thanks, Daniela.
Officer Cockwell, would you please raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide this committee is true and correct?
I swear that the information is true and correct.
Thank you.
So for unit,
Sorry, my apologies to interrupt. Sorry about that.
sorry. The unit 1, I received a complaint on September the 28th. I did my inspection September the 28th at 3:26. I confirmed the violations the same day. Photos were taken that we do have, and they should just pretty much describe the situation in that unit from what's going on. If you want to show the photos, I can explain where they are and go from there.
Cool. Sarah, can you help with that again, please?
Okay, that one there is in the kitchen,
That's-
and this is a bad shot of the floor in the kitchen. Kitchen as well. It's for the heater that's hanging. There's green spots there that look like it's mold on the linoleum floor. In front of the fridge in the kitchen. Above the counters or the cupboards in the kitchen. Back of the sink in the kitchen. Heater missing in the bedroom there, the cupboard. The linoleum rip behind the door entrance. That's the hole in the bathroom behind the toilet. That's beside the toilet in the bathroom. The tub. No. Another shot of the back of the toilet. And the mold on the wall. That's the ceiling in the bathroom. How it's cracked, split.
Thanks, Dr. Cockle. These photos are from September, correct?
Yes, they'd be the initial inspection date of the 28th.
Have you been there since?
No, I have not, but I did speak with the tenant today and confirmed that nothing's taken place, and I had advised them that there was an appeal hearing.
Okay, so they didn't say if it was, worse or the same?
She said today it's worse, but I wasn't back in the unit to confirm that it's worse. And that's in the living room ceiling. That's a wall with the receptacle going into the bathroom. And another one on that wall just lower. Ceiling in the kitchen. And again, kitchen.
So Dennis, can
So
you just confirm, as per the order, what we're addressing here? I know that you've showed us a lot of items, so if we can just go over detail of each thing. I know it's wall surface, plumbing, missing covers on the heating, but can we just clarify that, please, and the mold?
So that was because of the water damage and the moisture of the mold that's consumed. I didn't know if there was anything with the roof. You said you had that inspected, but that was part of the order. Any of the mold there, that's to me quite substantial. It should be removed. That was one of my biggest things right now for the health and safety of the tenants is the mold factor. Like I said before, they've been living in this condition. I don't know how long the situation's been like that. Again, my biggest concern is the mold, the holes, the wall, the receptacle cover. But all in all, like the flooring with the rips and stuff like that, that's not a major thing to be done, be dealt with, but I can only keep going back to the mold factor. That's my biggest concern within that. And then I had that the walls and the ceiling should be redone, repaired, repainted in the kitchen and in the bathroom in there.
Thank you.
So I think that was the biggest part of it in there. And I had asked for an exhaust fan in the kitchen. There was none present there. When it was in the kitchen, there was nothing there. Whether, I don't know. When I inspected, it wasn't there. When I go in, I don't know what the unit looked like prior to entry or when they got it or what it looks like after they've been in there. So I just look at what's there in front of me when I go in. I have no prior knowledge of what it looked like before my inspection.
Thank you.
Thanks. So to clarify, what do we have here on the order to be addressed? It's just specifically the plumbing and then the mold, correct?
So we have,
Yeah.
I can just go over it quickly. It's the ceiling surfaces, the washroom walls that were affected or are being affected by a water leak. The wall and ceilings in the kitchen and underneath the cabinets. The ceiling in the kitchen, the hole in the living room ceiling, and the holes in the bathroom walls and ceiling. And then there is issues with the ceiling walls in the bathroom, kitchen, and living room. Obviously the bathtub, the plumbing fixtures there, the ventilation system that Dennis mentioned in the kitchen and bathroom. And then the wall covering for the electrical plate that was missing. And then replacing the damaged floor tiles. And then again, replacing and repairing the structures within the wall before repairing those, repairing the wall. And then the heating system, the cover. And I think we've touched on everything.
Okay, excellent. And then have you spoken to the appellants about this, Steve, as far as what they're looking for? I know the last item you did.
Yeah, and it was the same conversation, just to recap that, is that it is going through that insurance claim. And then again, the condition, how they explain the condition, the unit having difficulties going in there to address the issues. They're looking for similar timelines, 3 to 4 months to have these repairs, have any leaks addressed that they can find, and also have the repairs completed.
Okay. Any questions from the committee, the city staff? Seeing none. So if we can get the appellant affirmed for this item, please. Danielle, can you help with that, please?
Yes, would you both be speaking?
Yeah, I could speak to this.
Okay, Mr. Tom Torriello, would you
Yes.
please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide this committee is true and correct?
I do.
Thank you.
So Mr. Torriello,
Yes,
so you're looking, Steve mentioned 3 to 4 months. Is that what you're looking for here?
yes. I would like to add some comments with regards to that unit, especially.
Okay.
With regards to the vent in the kitchen over top of the stove. I've been in the unit prior to any of the complaints, and the gentleman, the renter, had an extensive grow-up operation in his kitchen, which we attested to not having. That's not allowed to be had. And he basically came back to us and said, well, we're allowed to have 4 to 5 plants. It's a new regulation, it's this, that, and the other. And we disagreed, because like it was pretty much the whole kitchen in a tent, and he used the outlet for the exhaust of the fan to outlet his grow up. So I'm not sure at the time if Dennis was, if he's seen that, if he actually removed. By the looks of the pictures in the kitchen, it looks like he had removed it. But I do have pictures of that, of his operation that was in there. And so all I'm saying to that is, with regards to the vent, that was there prior to him moving in. He had removed it for his own purpose and reasons, which we sent him a letter saying that he's not allowed to have that. And I guess that's how he removed it, maybe when the officer came in. With regards to the holes in the living room, those you can see very well that they were damages caused by the tenant. When we rented the apartment, we actually had the whole floor replaced. That was a brand new vinyl floor that was in that unit. It hasn't been cleaned, it hasn't been maintained, and therefore it could be caused a lot of issues. With regards to the sink mold, same issue. Like, this is stuff that wouldn't be caused from a leak in the bathroom having mold in the kitchen. So if they're spilling water and they're not cleaning it, or just leaving it there, I mean, it's a little bit difficult as a landlord to go in and clean the people's apartments. So I just like to have a little bit of leniency with regards to that. But I think with regards to fixing the washroom and the mold in the washroom and anything to do with that section, we're 100% committed to the 4 months.
Excellent. Like, what about even like the plumbing fixture? Are they able use the bathtub then?
I don't like, that's actually, like, you sent the order. That's actually the first time I've seen that, the bathtub's not having a knob.
Like, it was obviously a knob was issued to them. I'm sorry, the unit came with a knob. It doesn't make sense. So we're
Yeah, that has to be repaired.
obviously it's going to get repaired with the bathroom, but yeah, it was a little surprising to see that.
Okay. Any questions from the committee?
I see Dennis has his hand up. He might want to provide comment if appropriate. To you, Mr. Chair.
Sure, thank you. Dennis?
Yes, I can confirm what Tom is saying. Is that shelter or grow up, was that like a brown enclosure
Yeah.
that they
Yes.
had in the kitchen?
Yes.
Yes, I did see that in there, and then snowing, yes, that's probably for some of the reasons that the floor in the kitchen would look like that from that grow up. I can
Exactly.
confirm that. I can confirm that tent was in the kitchen when I was there. I wondered what it was. I asked. And she said it was for putting dishes in. Well,
And
I
actually, the
know,
tenant is a
I know
male.
exactly what he's talking about when he says that tent, though. I did see that there.
Yeah, and in actual fact, we have it leased to a male person. I'm not sure if there's a co-tenant there, but we're not even aware that there's another person in there.
There is a female in the unit.
Yeah, she's not on the lease, so I don't even know what she's attesting to.
Okay, well, thank you, Officer Dennis. Yeah, and we see these things here and understand the extension of time. What I'm just concerned about is just they don't have like working plumbing there if there's no fixture to even turn on the bath. I know that's
We've
part
never
of the
heard that.
contract.
They've never complained about not having a working fixture. That's the first I'm hearing of it.
Mark, Charlene, do you have any questions? Mike?
It's not so much a question as a statement. So I think if I heard the appellant correctly, he was hoping that, yes, 4 months, but then also that some of the conditions listed not be included as part of the decision. But for me personally, the way I'm looking at it right now is I would be okay with an extension. However, I do feel that all the way the way this is written is what the work is that should be adhered to. I'm not looking to really alter or change that. That's me personally, subject to comments from the rest of the committee.
As a follow-up with that, I'm okay with that though too, Mike, and I'm feeling comfortable with the extension. However, I feel like we need to have progress done, not it's just in 4 months, within the next few weeks, even though too, especially if they have no running water in their bathtub. So
I'm in agreement.
I'm not sure if we need to modify the order or just give the extension with the understanding that we have this progress is going to be made. Because you can see some of the damage is clearly not caused by water, whether it be leaks to from above or down low. There's just damage there that's caused by something else. But yeah, there are some concerns there. There's like large pieces of missing drywall and no fixtures.
And we would be in agreement to, like I said, to change the order up, as in deal with the water, the missing spout sooner than later, and then all the other items. And I would agree with you, Mike. I wouldn't suggest that anything should be coming off of this order. We would require everything be repaired, but deal with the missing faucet first, and then the other items within that other timeline.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to kind of go with that. Maybe we could say have an operable plumbing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but operable. And I'm, it's clear to me that probably a lot of that mold is as a result of having a grow up running inside there. They do create an incredible amount of humidity. So, yeah, it looks like you're a victim of a bad tenant, but nonetheless, it has to be addressed and brought back to a proper standard. So.
Agreed.
Charlene?
I'm in agreement with what you guys are saying. I was feeling the same thing, so I think we're on the same page.
If that's the case, I don't think we need to step aside if we were able to grant an extension of March 31st, with also the understanding that this progress is going to be made before then, specifically to plumbing. I think we okay with that. Charlene and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. You're okay? Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Cool. So yeah, an extension to March 31st on those items. Thanks a bunch. So now moving along. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
So yeah, Mr. And Mr. Rillo, you understand what happened here? Perfect. So now we're moving along to third item on our agenda, appeal number 2021-18, 105 Waterloo Street. If I can ask Steve to introduce this matter, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is regarding appeal number 2021-18, address of 105 Waterloo Street in the city of Kitchener. There was an order issued regarding some deficiencies on the property. Officer Eckert, who is here with us today, was the one who inspected the property, confirmed violations of our property standards bylaw, and issued an order dated the 22nd of September 2021 with a compliance date of October 20th, 2021. I can confirm from reading the appeal, I did not have an opportunity to speak with the appellant prior to this. My understanding is they are just looking for an extension of time, which we, again, would be in agreement with as long as it is reasonable. We can also confirm that three items on the order have already been addressed. Number one, the railing, the eaves troughs, and the tree that are mentioned in Schedule A of the order have all been taken care of. So if we'd like to swear in Officer Mike Eckert, and he can give us the breakdown of what happened, and then we can turn it over to the appellant and see what they have to say as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Good afternoon, Officer Eckert. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to provide the committee is true and correct?
I affirm.
Thank you.
So it's okay to start? Okay. I received a complaint on September 19th of this year regarding 105 Waterloo Street. There's quite a list of complaints the complainant had. I inspected the property on September 20th, and I observed a few issues. One was the exterior rear deck, as Steve explained, it has the railing wasn't secure. The deck is under 2 feet, so they have removed that railing, so that's fine. There's also an issue with the eaves troughs. They were just filled with debris and leaves and like branches and stuff. So that appears to be fixed as well. And there was a dead tree at the back of the property, which has been removed as well. The other issues are at the rear of the property, there's some missing soffit above one of the windows. The foundation wall parging is failing and has come off on some of the exterior. And chain link fence and retaining wall. I believe is the owner sent in an email regarding the retaining wall and the eaves trough, or sorry, the chain link fence. Judging from the picture, it's possible that the owner and myself are not speaking about the same section of retaining wall. The wall I'm referring to is at the very back of the property, not at the rear left, but at the very back of the property. It's really actually difficult to see what the retaining wall was even made of. It's wood, but there's also like stone and bricks there that over time have failed now, and the retaining walls fallen in, and it looks like there was a chain link fence at one time that was on top of there, and that's also fallen in. So that was the fence and the retaining wall section that I was referring to on my order. And I believe as Steve mentioned, the deadline for the work was November 1st.
Sorry, I believe oh, sorry, it was November 1st. I apologize. I said October 20th. That was the appeal date. My apologies.
Thank you, Steve and Officer Eckert. Yeah, any questions from city staff or for city staff, pardon me? Mike?
Yeah, just did you, I know there was some materials and pictures included in our materials, but I'm just not clear on which portion you're talking about for retaining wall and fence. Is it possible to have pictures put up and you can speak to that, Mr. Eckert?
Through the chair, would one of the, Daniela, do we have the pictures available that we'd be able to post?
We have some pictures submitted by the appellant.
Through the chair, I don't believe bylaw submitted photo evidence with regards to this matter to us, but the appellant has, which we will be able to pull up when we hear from him.
Okay, fair enough. I guess if they produce that evidence, we'd be permitted then to re-examine Officer Eckert to confirm to get the right understanding that the owner and him are on the same page with respect to what needs to be repaired.
If that's the case, maybe you might take the opportunity now to bring in and inform the appellant, because I feel like we're on different pages here what we're discussing. So if we don't have any other questions, maybe we'll get them affirmed and get this evidence and make sure we're talking about the same thing here.
Hello, everyone.
Mr. Waits, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the information you're about to provide the committee is true and correct?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is, I suppose, interesting. I guess we are sort of misaligned on some of the work that needs to be done, which is, I guess, good to know. This is a section of the work that actually hasn't been completed yet, so that's good to know. So maybe it'd be helpful if I just sort of run through the list of things and can sort of check some of them off and then maybe discuss some other ones. So as stated, I took out the railing. It's under 2 feet, so it is to code. Used debris was removed. There was a section of chain link fence that was falling down. So I couldn't get a contractor to go do it, so I just removed it myself. There is another section of chain link fence that is also down, but it actually wasn't clear to me as to whether that was part of my property or one of my neighbors. So I actually just left it there because it is on their property. And I think it's been like that since I've owned the building, which has been 7 years. So if that's mine and I can remove that, then that's totally fine. And that should be fairly easy to do. So happy to do that, in the coming week. With respect to the retaining walls, so there's a retaining wall at the back. It sounds like that's the problem area. There's also a retaining wall on the side. So and I actually included a thread, email thread with one of my neighbors, because we've been discussing some work, sort of working collaboratively to fix that, but it sounds like that's actually not the problem area. So I'll just need to get that work quoted and go take a look at that at the back. I will say that it probably would have been helpful to have photos of this when this order was made to me, because some of this was a little bit of guesswork, to be honest. But happy to look into that. We removed the tree. That was pretty easy. And then getting into the soffit and parging. So the soffit is on a piece of the building that like it's an addition that was fairly poorly done. It was done by the previous owner or previous owners. And so we're actually going to be removing that. So rather than fixing the soffit, we just going to remove that piece. So it doesn't really make sense to fix that. And so as part of that work, we had ordered a window. I included the quote for it. We'd actually ordered this window back in August, so prior to receiving the order. So it's our intention to complete this work. This is like the classic story with COVID. It taken a while to get that window in, and you can see that from the thread with that vendor. So intention is to put in that new window and then remove that back addition that's pretty poorly done. And then also the parging, got a quote for that as well prior to receiving this order. So it was intention to do that work. Two is just taking longer for that contractor to get that done than had anticipated. And I think, so, as a summary, happy to do the work that hasn't been done. A lot of it was our intention to do this prior to the order being received. It just really needed an extension at this point. So some of these things like parging, and the parging is just aesthetic. Like there's no leaks or anything like that in the basement. It's just purely aesthetic. Just need an extension to do that work, and not really appropriate to do retaining walls and parging work in the winter time. So I think the extension, like unfortunately, like the timeline is probably a little bit long, but it's really just due to climate. So could probably get this work done in April or May once we're into the spring and there's no frost on the ground.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Mr. Waits. So I think we're pretty clear with the soffits and the parging, and appreciate how you've gotten quotes and have moved things along and have a plan to get this stuff taking place. Only concern still wondering about is this discrepancy over this retaining wall. So maybe if we get some clarity in terms of what needs to be done and what wall we're talking about here. I'm not sure if maybe now we have the appellant confirmed, if we can maybe show that photo of the retaining wall to see if we're talking about the same thing, please. Yeah, so is that fence, is that your fence there, Mr. Waits?
No, so you can see I took out the, you can see the posts when I took the photo. So there was sort of a collapsing chain link fence there that I just removed. And then this fence is actually on the neighbor's property, but it sounds like bylaw was actually referring to the area actually just outside of that photo, if I'm understanding correctly. Maybe they can speak to that.
Yeah, if we can.
It sounds like this is not actually the problem area from their perspective.
Yeah, Officer Eckert?
Yeah, so it's just to the right of that. It looks like there was been like a chain link fence that went down the left and then the back of the property. And I think just over time that, like I said, the retaining wall, I'm not even sure what it's truly built of. It's like, I'm not surprised by the looks of the chain link. It's probably been there like that for 15, 20 years. So it is at the back of that property where it's just, it looks like the retaining wall failed, whatever the wall was at one time, and the chain link just fence went with it. I do have a question about the soffit though. I'm not sure what the appellant meant by removing the soffit.
The whole back structure.
Yeah. So not just like, we're just going to remove the back addition there, which I.
Okay, so the soffit I was referring to was the back above the back window. There's soffit missing.
There's a photo. Maybe can we pull it up and see if we're talking about the same thing then?
Yeah, I did see the photo, and I could on the so go to another one. Yeah, I don't know if you can zoom in or not, but above that back window there on the second level, there's soffit that's missing.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's relatively, if that's the problem. Sorry, some of this was like really unclear to me as to what the order was referring to, but yeah, like that's relatively easy to get done, I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't know if Steve can verify, but I don't think I'm legally allowed to send photos with an order. Have we had contact after the order? You know what I mean? Then I can send you the pictures, or we could meet at the property type thing and go over what was required. But I don't think there's a method to legally add pictures to the order.
I'm gonna have to confirm that, Mike. I'm not sure. I think we are, but I would have to confirm that.
This is my first time through this process, thankfully, so wasn't really sure. But yeah, if that's the problem area, that's not a big deal to fix.
Mike?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Sir, you stated like March, April for a timeline. I appreciate that. I'm just curious, do you reside at this address?
I don't, no.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Fair enough. And how long have you owned the property?
In December, it'll be 7 years.
7 years. Okay. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to also confirm that we're both speaking to the same part of the retaining wall, and that we're on the same page for that. I want to confirm that since we have the officer and the property owner on. Mike, are you satisfied with that section that was brought up, or are we talking about two different places on the property?
It's the same section where I referred to where the chain link fence has fallen. That wasn't shown in the picture. The retaining wall, it looks like the fence quite possibly was on that retaining wall at one time. So it's not the one that's shown in the picture. It's the one at the very back of the property, not the left side at all. It's at the very rear, right where the tree that was removed, right there. So I don't know if we see the picture. If we pull up the picture of the tree that the owner removed, that might actually show part of that retaining wall and the fence. It'd be close because it was right near there.
I'm definitely familiar with the area. So when I took out the chain link that was shown there, it's just beside it. As I was looking at it, I was like, it wasn't clear to me as to whether it was actually mine or the other property owners. Like I said, it's been like that for 7 years. So if that's mine, I'm happy to remove that piece. That's not a big deal. I would have to go look at so it would just be sort of to the left of this. I would have to go look at the retaining wall though. I didn't have a good look at that because I wasn't aware that was the problem area.
Is the retaining wall retaining anything? Like it's what's the purpose of it? Looks like pretty flat elevation there.
There's a little bit of a drop off. It's not so much here. This is pretty flat. If you go a little bit it's too bad there's not photos here, but there is a bit of a drop off into the next property.
Okay.
But it's sort of like, I mean, it's also pretty poorly maintained on the neighboring property as well. Like but anyway, maybe that's another matter.
Okay. So any questions here from committee? Not seeing any. I feel we got some more clarity now over the missing soffit that you'll address. The parging's pretty clear. I think we've got some more clarity with the retaining wall. Still with as we approach to the holidays and the winter months, it'll be hard to do. Still think like May would be reasonable in order to have an extension to get the remaining items addressed.
Yeah, I think May should be fine. It is weather dependent, but I mean, it's my goal basically to get it done as soon as possible, as soon as weather permits. So I think May should be reasonable.
Okay. Excellent. And sometimes maybe like a soffit thing could happen before then, but just give you enough time, with things like parging, because with cold weather, it's hard to get done. And with that retaining walls, you get some quotes on that though as well.
Yeah.
There's no safety issues with that retaining wall, correct, Mr. Officer Eckhart?
No, it's not an area that anyone is going to go to. And yeah, it's just holding up. I think at one point it was holding up the land, but I don't think it is anymore. It's just kind of collapsed. So there would be, I don't know. Let me see yeah. So in my order, I don't know if we want to adjust the order, but it says to repair. I would be fine with removing that retaining wall as well and just sloping the land. That could be an option.
Yeah,
probably easier.
Sorry, as long as it's sloped to the building requirement regulations when you're following that ratio, and we just have to confirm that. I think it's a 3-to-1 ratio to be exact, but you would have to confirm that with the building department of how far back it would have to be sloped.
So just to lean here on city staff would be easier for us to do here. Should we modify this order or should we just extend it? Like what's the best way to proceed here?
So there is always an option to remove the retaining wall if possible, just like the railing was removed. Even though we didn't state it in the order, there's no violation because it is under 2 feet. So that's been rectified. So I don't think that we need to amend the order by any means or reword the order. As long as I would be more comfortable leaving with it as is, because I don't know, never being to the property. By the pictures, it looks like it can be sloped and it wouldn't be an issue. You have more than enough room to do it, but I'm not 100% sure and confident to say that. So I would rather we just leave it as is. And then if you have the ability to remove it and slope it as per the building code requirements, you're more than welcome to do that and the property would be in compliance.
That sounds good. That's sort of the plan. I think we'll probably do it anyway on the other side with the neighbor. So probably can just do that as part of that work as well. But we'll check that out.
That's great. And we're okay with that compliance date, knowing that this work would be somewhat more difficult in the winter time, and also because it isn't posing a safety issue.
Okay.
Excellent. Any questions from the committee at all? Do you guys need to step aside, or you think you're okay with that date? It's fine. Okay, excellent. So we'll grant.
Just confirm, Brian, the end of May?
Yeah, May 31st, I was thinking, if that's okay with you guys, or do you want, you suggest a different date?
No, I think that sounds fine.
Okay, excellent. So Mr. Waits, have an extension on those 3 remaining items to May 31st.
Very good. Okay, well, that was, this was helpful. Thank you. Thank you for the extension. Very much appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, best wishes with that work, and hopefully maybe even like you make some progress even with those soffits before it gets even colder though too. It looks like a smaller job there. For sure. Okay. Am I good to sign off? Yep, that's it. You got the extension, and then staff will liaise with you with proper correspondence that way though. But yeah, an extension to the May 31st, 2022. Sounds good. Okay, thank you so much. Take care. Thanks. Take care. Well,
Through the chair, a motion to adjourn.
thank you. Well, this meeting's adjourned. All in favor?
Yep.